Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith. Welcome to the Grow Tent, everybody. You have found the best one channel on YouTube, man. The place where we simplify the approach for you so everyone can learn how to grow. We make it so simple, even I can understand. So I'm going to listen and learn right now.
Woo! What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Grow Tent. We got a great episode for you today. Today we're going to be talking about, we've talked about when to start training and how to start training, but we've never really talked about when do we stop training, which is always a question I get a ton of questions on in my email, and for some reason I've just never brought it up in video form. So that's what we're going to talk about today. When do we stop high stress training? When do we stop low stress training? And everything in between. We're going to talk about it. So we're going to talk about that today. But first, as always, it's the intro. It's everybody's favorite part. I know it, you know it, we all know it. Guys, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, watch the full video. It helps out the channel a ton. Also, if you didn't know, we got a huge thing going on in the Patreon right now. We're doing a crazy end of the year thing. We are dropping a new line every single month, a new feminized line of bird food every single month in the Patreon. There's a drop in October, there's a drop in November, and a drop in December. And if you sign up to be any of the VIP tiers right now going forward for the rest of the year, you are going to be included in it. The link to join is in the video description below, so make sure you check that out. Also, guys, if you'd like to follow us on Instagram, you can still see the plants for free because we don't show them too much here on YouTube anymore because they're being quite mean to all of us C-word creators. But my Instagram is right there if you want to follow us. Guys, also, if you're looking for a new light, tint, anything of the sort, remember to check out Mars Hydro. They are the main sponsor of the channel. And we actually do get a kickback if you use our link in the video description below, and you get a nice discount off your whenever you check out. If you use the code WTTGT, you get a nice discount at checkout. So make sure you do that also. Anything else? No, I think that's it. Let's go. Boom. No, that wasn't a good one. Woo! All right, everybody, we're back. We got a really cool episode for you today. So originally this episode was going to be when to stop topping. I think the camera's a little high. Let's bring it on down. I think, you know, originally this video was going to be titled when to stop topping. Get your shit together. Grow tent. Focus. Calm down. Relax. All right, let's try that again. So originally this video was going to be called When to Stop Topping. And while I thought that was going to be a great idea for a video, it kind of led me to the point was, well, why don't we just alleviate some further questions? When to stop supercropping, when to stop fimming, when to stop low stress training, etc., etc. Any of the many tools at the hands of us fellow growers. When do we stop doing it? Now, we know when we start to do it. We know what we're trying to do and achieve whenever we're doing it, you know, getting a nice big wide plant. But when do we stop it? I can't believe it's taken me years now to do a video. I know I've addressed it a lot of times on the live streams, but I've never made like a sit down video where we talk about it, you know, that we have a regular upload to the channel. So the first thing we're going to have to discuss is the two different forms of training. Your first form is high stress training, and your second form is low stress training. They're exactly what they sound like. Low stress training is things like the wire ties, where you're pulling the plants down to widen them out, or using a scrog net you're basically doing the same thing. Only without the wire ties, you just use the scrog net to pull the plant apart. And the other form of training is high stress training. These are things like supercropping, fimming, topping, any of those where they put an exorbitant amount of stress on the plant. First things first, do both work? Yes, low stress training and high stress training work extremely well. Do I prefer one over the other? Well, I do, and we're going to talk about that today also. Not this early. Come on, we just started. All right, so the first things first is, let's answer the original question, is when do I stop topping, which was going to be the main premise of the show. So when you're going to stop topping, anytime you're going to be doing a high stress training technique, you want to do this the week before you are going to flip to flower. So anytime I'm going to introduce a high stress training technique, either taking clones, which is a high stress training technique. Even though you're taking your clones from the top, you are training the plant out wider. It's just a more aggressive form of topping if you think about it that way. So anytime I'm taking clones, super cropping, fimming, or topping, these are the training techniques that are going to fall in the category of high stress training on your plant. So anytime I'm going to do one of those, I am going to give the plant at least a week's worth of recovery time before I flip them to flower. If I'm doing a big, taking a ton of clones from the top of it, I might even stretch it out to like 9 to 10 days. Just give them a little bit extra recovery time because I've attacked the plant so much. If I'm doing low stress training techniques, you can continue to do low stress training techniques all the way through the 3rd week of flower, because that's what we do whenever we apply the scrog net. We use the scrog net to keep training the plant out wider and wider as they go through the first 3 weeks of flower, which is the stretch. So we're not going to talk about when to start because we've plenty of videos on that, but whenever we stop. So high stress training techniques, you are going to be stopping them at least a week before you would flip to flower, and then with low stress training techniques, you can actually continue those whether you're doing the wire ties or whether you're doing the scrog net. You can actually continue those up into the end of the 3rd week of flower because you are going to be using those low stress training techniques, either those silly wire ties if you want 30 wire ties around your bucket, or you're going to be using your scrog net to what we call absorb the stretch so the plants don't run up into the lights. I know we've all been there where the plants grew all the way up top because you didn't absorb the stretch. Maybe you didn't know how. Maybe you thought the scrog net was just for support. That's not why we use a scrog net. We use a scrog net to constantly fold the tops over to maintain a nice even canopy so that we control the stretch so everything maintains the same height. Because if everything maintains the same height, it means everything gets the same amount of light, which is how you get gardens that look identical, where you have giant, you've seen my gardens, you've seen them. If not, go back and look. I've got tons of videos, 300 of them, all plants in them. I've got nice giant full gardens. All the colas are the exact same size because we controlled the stretch all the way through the grow, and the scrog net's how you do it. But you will use the low stress training techniques all the way through the end of the 3rd week of flower. How will I know when it's time to, when I have a week left of veg? Well, it's really easy. If you're taking up 50% of your floor space, and these plants typically double in size in the stretch, so anytime you get close to 50%, you know that you are nearing the end of your veg. Well, this is for photo periods at least. With autoflowers, not so much. They get to pick and choose whenever they end veg and start flower, so your guess is as good as mine, but generally it's about 3 to 5 weeks of veg. You top them a little bit. Maybe you don't want to top your autoflowers, get a little bit of low stress training. They don't require a ton of work. You just kind of set them and forget them, but there's costs that come with that style of growing also. If you're looking for somebody that you want really good tips to grow gigantic autoflowers, make sure you guys check out Bill Ward's channel. It's fantastic. He's probably the best autoflower grower on YouTube, and you're hearing that from GT, who's one of the best photo period growers on YouTube. I'm just saying. Sorry, I apologize. All right. I don't know if there's too much other than that. Just make sure if you're doing high stress training techniques, super cropping, fimming, topping, taking clones. I know you don't think of that as a training technique, but it is. It's just an aggressive form of topping. You give them 7 days for the normal high stress training, maybe 9 to 10 days if you are doing a an aggressive topping. And then with low stress, you can follow it all the way through to week 3 of flower. All right, guys, I hope you learned something. If not, oh man, I'm sorry, I apologize. But hey, GT loves you, and I hope you guys all have a fantastic weekend. I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget about that deal on Patreon. Later. GT, out.